Socialists surging, carving out new ways to take seats away from establishment Democrats. And now, Colorado's primary victory for a socialist is raising some fresh flags, red flags about the direction of the Democrats and the country. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Socialist Melat Kiros defeated Congresswoman Diana DeGette. She had been in that seat, Diana DeGette, for nearly 30 years representing Denver. And the woman who won last night is a nightmare for American politics. Here's a taste of who she is. She told radical left podcaster Hassan Piker the October 7th Hamas massacre of Israelis was inevitable. And as the nation gets ready to celebrate our 250th birthday, here's Kiros on one of our nation's most painful moments, 9/11.
Was 9/11 an inevitable consequence for America based on U.S. foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response.
Socialist candidates are winning primaries across America, and they have the backing of well-funded far-left groups like the Democrat Socialist of America, the Working Families Party, Justice Democrats. We're scrolling the list there. Vice President J.D. Vance with a warning.
In 5 years, people are going to look back at Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, as shocking as this may sound, and they're going to say they were the reasonable moderates of the time, and the DSA types, the far left, the communists, have taken over that party. We know that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, their policies are pretty far out there. Compared to what's coming online in the modern Democratic Party, it's just going to get weirder and weirder and scarier and scarier.
The debate on our power panel coming up in focus. First to Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Chad.
Harris, good morning. The direction Democrats are headed is left, but what's not clear is if it rewards them with control of the House. Democrats are fighting with themselves, but they say despite new members, they're on the same page.
But aren't there clashes because you have two different wings that see this so diametrically opposed?
No, every person in that tent from these corners that you're talking about, every single one of them wants to hold the Trump administration accountable.
The Democratic Socialists of America rung up big wins in New York City last month. They defeated two Democratic incumbents. Claire Valdez will succeed retiring Democrat Nydia Velázquez. She served in the House since 1993. Valdez and Velázquez aren't on the same page. But did you not see things eye to eye with your prospective successor here?
Look, she won, and I wish her well, and I offer myself to sit down with her and discuss transition. But this is how democracy works.
For Republicans, it's an opportunity to highlight extremist ideas as the GOP tries to keep control of the House.
And what I would say to all of those Democrats, socialists, communists, whatever they call themselves, you are free to leave. This country was built on American traditional values. If you don't like it, the beauty of living in America is you are free to leave.
Now, voters are not enamored with the GOP. However, Republicans believe they can spook mainstream voters by highlighting how far Democrats veered to the left. Progressive ideas don't resonate in swing districts. Harris?
Chad, thank you very much. Power panel now. Luke Ball, GOP strategist, and Yemisi Egbawale, former chief of staff to President Biden's White House press office. Great to see you both. Yemisi, I'm going to come to you first. You heard an establishment Democrat in Chad's reporting say, this is how democracy works. Is that what your party's pushback will be on what could look like a takeover of your party by socialists?
Look, we can stick to the line that the Democratic Party is a big tent, but it can't be a big tent that doesn't have a floor. There has to be a line that's drawn at some point. We really have to make sure that we let the American people know that certain statements, especially what Melat said about 9/11, about the anti-Semitic attack that happened in Boulder, are unacceptable. And people shouldn't feel beholden to having to be the first line of defense for a lot of these outrageous statements that are really going to push off a lot of the independents and mainstream voters that we need, especially in these swing and purple districts. And a reminder to everyone, DSA has not had to do the work in hard districts. They've just had to play easy ball in very blue ones.
That's a shot across the bow. Now, that's a Democrat who's fighting for a party. I don't know where everybody else is. Luke?
It's a great question, Harris. I think everyone who considers themselves a moderate has been largely silent. I'm calling them legacy Democrats at this point because the moderates have been willing to let Democrat socialists into the tent. But the Democrat socialists have no intention of allowing those legacy Democrats to stay in the tent. They are not here to little fine-tune adjustments to America or to the party. They're here to completely overhaul it and change it into something else. And it's the Democrats' own fault. Far too many of them have incubated this weed in their garden, and now they are suffering the consequences. I'm not here just to bash on the Democrat Party. I'm here because I'm deeply concerned about the direction of the next generation. Last year, a poll by Cato said that 1/3 of young Americans, people under 30, thought communism was a good idea, and socialism is just a stepping stone to communism. So I'm here to link arms with people like my friend Yemisi and call this ideology out so that we stop it and get back to debating policy instead of fundamental overhauls of the United States.
So it's so interesting what you're saying about that slide into communism. I say it all the time, and the person who probably says it most is President Trump. And he doesn't use them synonymously. He says, look, it's 1 + 1. It would be bad for this country. An essay published by the liberal New York Times is titled "A Working Class Party Without Many Workers." Here's part of it. Quote, DSA candidates are winning on the claim that they support a government by, for, and of the working class. Here's the problem. Most of the group's leadership and most voters who back its candidates are in no way working class. Instead, an elite made up of well-educated professionals dominates. The group's agenda is packed with policies supported by white progressives, but strongly opposed by both white and minority working class voters. These policies include open borders, defunding police, abolishing ICE, support for an array of transgender rights. And in 2021, a DSA survey found its membership was 85% white. Now, look at all of this. And I want to get your not only reaction to that, but what do you think it means in terms of the future of your party, Yemisi?
It feels like people who have never really had to work, and we know Melat hasn't had a very traditional job, and this is reflective of a lot of people that are in DSA. They have led very privileged lives where they've only had to sit and ponder about what hard work is and never had to actually do the hard work. And I think that's reflected in a lot of their ideology and a lot of their platform. It's not connected to the steps that take real policy wins to make happen. But I don't think that we should ignore them and think of it as something that only happens in very deep blue pockets. 5 years ago, I could have never imagined that these kind of candidates would be coming to Congress, and now they're here. And the job right now for a lot of people in the Democratic Party is to make sure that nationally this is not something that becomes an identifier as the brand.
Yeah, look, Biden and Kamala Harris, Luke, found out what it means the hard way if you ignore working class folks, whether they're white, black, Hispanic, no matter who they are in this country, they are the focal point politically, or they should be in this country, not the elites. Your take?
And because Kamala and Biden failed to capture the hearts and minds of their party in the United States in the last election, the Democrats have been wandering aimlessly. I say it quite often. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, and the Democrats are on track to beat that record. They don't have any sort of figurehead or leader, and in the absence of that, the Democrat socialists and many far-left progressives have filled that vacuum. They're no longer flukes in the party. They are the figureheads in that party. And I believe that Democrat socialism has so easily replace this because it is lazy politics. It offers cotton candy solutions and not substantive meat and substantive policies that would even try to counter the Republicans. They offer pie in the sky. And honestly, I feel as if the Democrats want to elect Democrat socialists just long enough so that the pendulum can swing back to the Republicans, allow for an injection of economic vitality that will just sustain that sugar high for a longer period of time.
That's interesting. We only have a second. Embassy, a quick response to that.
I think that Democrats have to continue to focus on these real issues of housing and affordability, and turning to ideology and looking to see what we can offer people without actually delivering is going to be harmful in the long run beyond midterms.
Yeah, you might want to hurry because you could soon be outnumbered by, it's not just a show, it's a concept too, outnumbered by those in your party who don't see it your way. Great to have you both. Good discussion, great debate always. Thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.